The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
I just discovered that people aren't able to hear me. Sophie, thanks for pointing that out.
No problem.
Why don't you go ahead and mute yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to right now.
Okay. I do apologize. A lot of what we've seen up to this point has been more visual than talking anyway. So let's focus on how do we attract new members to our facility, members who will be right for us. Not every new member that walks into your club is going to be the right sort of member. How do we get a new member to start strong during that first 8 weeks or 12 weeks of membership? How do we get them to really begin to get into that health and fitness habit? And the result of that is they will stay long. How do we get a member to stay long? How do we increase the average member rate, member retention of our sales, so that every member that joins our facility will stay for a longer period of time? And then finally, how do we get them to refer their friends? How do we get them excited about our facilities in such a way that they will refer their friends to um, come to your facility? So these are the things that we want to focus on today. And if any of you have questions about what I covered in the earlier slides when you couldn't hear me, by all means, I'll be happy to follow up with you after the webinar. So the big question is, how do we close the back door? We are going to have dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of new members coming through our facility in the first quarter. And how do we close that back door so we keep them longer, we keep them stronger, and we generate greater revenues from them over this year, this coming year, and the years to come? So we want to talk about selling to the right people. Identifying those folks that are most likely to stay longer in your facility. Definitely want to focus on gaining commitment. How do we get that influx of new members to become committed to themselves and committed to uh, a focus on health and fitness? How do we effectively communicate with members? Staffing is always a challenge within our facilities, and yet during the first quarter, when we get the most new members in the year through our facility doors, it's so critical for us to communicate with each and every one of them to let them know that they're not just another number and that we don't believe that they're just going to come and go, but we believe they're going to come and stay. And then finally, I want to talk about member loyalty, members that stay and pay some more, because these are the members that are really the gold dust that we want to begin to mine um, within our facilities. Those of you who know me know I typically start with really a very high 30,000 foot perspective of the industry. And certainly, I think we all agree that keeping a new member is an industry challenge. We have members in our facilities that come and go. And in fact, as we look at this graph, what we have discovered at TRP through some of our research is that clearly at the end of a 12-month period, we tend to see 50% of those members that we sold 12 months ago drop out. So it's a very inefficient model. And our objective as operators should be this: how do we move this curve? Because everything beneath this curve represents real revenue. At point zero, or in the first month of membership, 100% of new members are new members. They're paying us dues. But then something very dramatic happens, and this is what we really do need to focus on. We begin to see those dues paying members drop off and drop off pretty precipitously. So everything under here is revenue. Well, we're seeing all that new member revenue begin to erode very quickly. Everything above this curve is opportunity. If we can move this graph even the slightest bit, 3%, 5%, move it into the opportunity territory, we're turning opportunity into revenue. So how do we keep members for a longer period of time? And then I mentioned the whole idea of, keeping a member engaged, especially during that first period that they've joined the club and they're getting acclimatized and they're beginning to utilize a new fitness program that you've developed for them. And let's say it's within the first 8 weeks or 12 weeks of membership. Well, one of the things that we have found is really the visit frequency of those new members absolutely dramatically impacts retention. So in this graph here, if we look at people that are visiting, according to this blue line, less than twice per week, and our research has shown that twice per week really is the threshold. So when a member is not visiting a minimum of twice per week during their first 8 to 12 weeks of membership, we find that their average membership is only about 7 months. So they are dues paying members for 7 months for the most part. And then it drops off dramatically thereafter. But then if we look at this other curve, the red curve, these are folks that are attending at least twice per week. And these folks are staying an average of at least 7 months. So that's 7 months more. That's double the average length of membership simply by keeping them engaged a minimum of twice per week. And I would challenge you, as you sign on new members, as you onboard these new prospects, encourage them. Tell them that our experience is that if you're using the facility twice per week, it becomes very habitual. It becomes really part of the fabric of who you are. And it really begins to set you on a path for long-term health and fitness. But if you're coming less than twice a week, things get in the way. You change your schedule from day to day. You find that it becomes inconvenient to come in and visit the facility, and you'll see very dramatically that these people aren't staying very long. So let's say on average, if you're charging $40 a month, well, if you can add 7 months at $40 a month to your average membership, simply by getting those members to stay and visit at least twice per week, that's averaging about $280 per member. This is lost revenue that you can find simply by increasing visit frequency. So calculate this based on your monthly dues and watch the numbers add up. During the first quarter, clubs often have a very hard time as their infrastructure is strained and as they find the need to hire temporary staff that may not necessarily be well versed within their facility. But the real challenge is how do we, despite these challenges, continue to communicate with our members and communicate with our new members. We truly believe that communicating with new members is one of the most critical aspects of keeping members longer because communicate yields community. And if you don't communicate with your members, they will not become part of your community. We've done some studies around that where we talk about an interaction. An interaction is just a quality communication between a staff member and a new member. And the retention rates based on numbers of interactions that we have with these members have some dramatic differences. If we don't have any interaction with a member, so a member comes in, she or he joins, they come in, they're using the equipment, but they just don't feel like they're a part of your facility. They don't feel like they're being welcomed into your culture. We find that their retention rate is dramatically lower than someone with whom we're interacting at least a few times. And then by contrast, when we interact with a member, and an interaction may very well just be a smile and a greeting at the front desk, or it may be a fitness staff member coming over to them to help them with their program. But when we have more interaction and engage members more frequently, we see that their retention rate increases dramatically. So that's a very, very important lesson. So we're seeing that literally 50% of the members with whom we're not having an interaction are only staying that average of 7 months. When we have 1 to 3 interactions, we see a dramatic increase in the average length of membership. And then 4 and above, we're seeing at least 18 months of membership just by talking, just by communicating, just by sharing, and just by embracing the new member. That can have a dramatic impact on revenue. If your revenue is $50 a month and we're adding 11.1 months to the average membership length, we're adding well over $500 per member. So interaction is very, very much worth your attention. Additionally, too, we want to look at the product that we're selling. And especially during the new year, we often have specials, membership opportunities, etc. Um, m- our feeling is that you really do need to look at, what is the commitment that you're asking a member to have with your facility? Does a month-to-month commitment work? Does an annual contract work? Does an annual contract with repeating month renewals work? These are all things that you have to take into consideration. And what we're seeing here, when we have a month-to-month contract, and this is represented in the blue, we're seeing just about a 12-month retention rate. When we see a contract that's 2 to 11 months, not much different. But if you look at these contracts that are longer, a 12-month contract, a 2-year contract, etc., we tend to see a greater number of members sticking around uh, during that first 12 months. It does drop off in all categories after that first 12 months, but we see that the drop off is not quite as dramatic. So think about the types of contracts that you offer. Think about the product that you're providing. Is health and fitness as important, say, as the mortgage that you pay or the car payment that you make every month? These sorts of payments require commitment. You can't just drop the keys off at the dealership and say, I'm done with this car. So I would encourage you to think strongly about what kind of a message you're sending when you say, we're offering a month-to-month membership. There's no contract, there's no long-term obligation. Is that the right message? And that's only that's an answer that only you can provide the response to. But I would encourage you to think about, what does the idea of having a contract at the point of sale, what impact does that have on the types of members that you sell and on the length of term of those memberships? I'd like to focus a little bit on the member journey for a second. And as we look at the member journey, there are really several stages that we look at. And the stage that we're looking at now, and the stage that we'll look at throughout the month of January as club operators, is really that acquisition stage. We're in selling mode. We're about acquiring new members and as many of them as we possibly can get into our facilities. And then as those new members are acquired, they go through this period of assimilating to your facility, becoming used to the patterns, the flows, the traffic flows, the positives, the negatives, the classes, the staff, the other members, etc. These are people that are a little wet behind the ears, and if they're deconditioned, they probably need a little more hand-holding, especially during that first 8 to 12 weeks where we're trying to get them to make a visit frequency of 2 visits per week. Then there's a period that we hope that most members achieve, which is that self-motivated period where suddenly, and it's kind of like learning how to ride a bike. They're using their training wheels here during this just joined period, and then they suddenly become self-motivated. They can ride that bike on their own. They can balance. They don't need the training wheels. Many times with a majority of members, we find them actually moving it from self-motivated into struggling. Maybe their program has become boring. Maybe they're doing the same thing over and over again, and it's time for them to find something new. And this is a member who's on the verge of leaving. And it's ironic, but these really do kind of mimic the life cycle of a human being from conception to dying. We want to make sure that we engage the member at every step, and engaging them at acquisition and delivering a fantastic customer experience is absolutely critical. So let's talk about that for a minute. We want to sell to the right people, and that's really the focus of what we want to talk about today. It's critical that in order to sell to the right people, you need to understand your membership as it currently stands. Which of your members stay longer? Can you market to these people? Do you know where they live in your market area? Can you motivate current members to refer other members? Because like does attract like. You'll often get members who refer people that are of the same age, of the same demographic profile, often the same sex. So if your ideal member is a female aged 35 to 40, uh, how do you get those members to refer more frequently? How do you give them the rewards that they need to bring in like members who are going to stay longer? Additionally, do you compel all your departments to embrace the new member? We're always under strain during that first quarter, and we find ourselves often forgetting the fact that in our business, people are the product. It's not the equipment, it's not the programs, it's the ones that are delivering. And so we want to make sure that all departments, from the front desk down to the maintenance, are embracing the new member, are welcoming the new member, and are not seeing the new member as an interruption or a distraction in what they are doing. And one of my favorite words is be delightful. How do you communicate delight when you see a new member, when you embrace them, when you get them involved in your facility? Sometimes when you delight someone, that really sticks in their minds because think about it as consumers, we're not delighted very often. So those brands, those products that delight us, that really make us feel very happy, very warm, very fuzzy, those are the ones that we stick with. So be delightful when you sell to the right member. So how do you do it? Well, some simple questions to ask yourself. Do you know which of your members naturally stay longer? Have you done an audit of your membership? There's still time to do it. There's still time to understand, what kinds of members tend to join and stay longer than others. And make sure that's a real focus of your marketing plan for 2014. Finding members that are like the members that stay longer in your facility. Do you know how many of them are in your market area? Have you done your research? When you put together your marketing plans, develop your direct mail programs, etc. Do you know how many of them exist and what percentage of them you can attract to your facility? So where are they? Nowadays with data tracking, etc., you can actually identify those members that are most likely to stay longer in your facility all the way down to street addresses. Utilize this information for growth and for longer term memberships. Do you actively appeal to those members who we want to call high yield members in your marketing? Are you showing the visuals that really attract them? Is your sales approach one in which you are really appealing to this high yield member? And with all due respect to younger people, if you're using someone who is an 18 to 20-year-old salesperson and the majority of your new members are of a different demographic, think about that. Are they trainable? Can they speak the language of that different demographic? Or do they turn that different demographic off with their approach? Sales commissions, something that you can really leverage. Would you be willing to pay a higher commission to your ideal, when your ideal member is sold versus a member that is not necessarily one that stays longer and pays longer? What about your product? Make sure, and as I look at all the attendees on the call today, a number of you really do a wonderful job managing your product and programs. So focus on that product. Does that product truly reflect the types of members that are best attracted to your facility? And speaking of facilities, what's the atmosphere? When people come in the morning, what kind of music is playing? What's on the televisions, et cetera, et cetera. and look at that during the different parts of the day. Does the music change as the members change in the facility? So each member that comes in, regardless of whether they're an early morning young professional or whether they're a midday retired individual or whether they're coming in as a family in the mid afternoon or the evening, does the facility and the atmosphere reflect their needs, wants, and desires? What kind of service and support do you offer? To what extent do your personal trainers approach members who may not be personal training clients, but may very well need the support of a personal trainer, at least to show them a thing or two? These are the things that we want to maximize to attract high yield members. Do some studies. Think about the age groups that you're serving and calculate, how long are these people that are uh, 16 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 plus, and there may be more for your facility. How long are they staying? And if you're finding one particular demographic is staying longer than another, how do you market to them? Because every dollar that you spend in marketing is going to be multiplied many times over the longer a member stays in your facility. It's not just about the sale, it's about retaining that member. Look at your zip codes. We talked earlier about really focusing on, do you know where in your market area your members are living? Can you address them through your marketing and get them into your facility because they're more likely to stay longer? So really focus on those zip codes in your market area that attract those high yield members. And it's very easy to do with a lot of the data tracking that we're able to do these days. If you sell to the right customers, you'll keep them. It's that simple. You don't want to sell your memberships to a customer that you know viscerally is not going to stay for a long period of time. Yes, they may come in and they may buy, but you can do a little predictive analysis, and I'm sure you do it on a daily basis. Will this member stay longer, or will this member simply be here today, gone tomorrow? So look at those member types that you have. If you find that couples tend to stay longer than a single membership, really amp up your marketing around selling to couples. If you find that seniors tend to stay longer than students, really amp up those marketing efforts to focus on seniors. Makes a big difference in the bottom line. And in this fact, we've moved that revenue curve and taken over opportunity to the tune of about 10% simply by focusing on a different type of member group that stays longer. The first 8 weeks, some of us think it's 12 weeks. That's up for debate, but certainly our experience has been if a member doesn't attend your facility at least twice within the first 8 weeks, we find that they're probably not going to stay longer. So let's congratulate their compliance. Look at their visit frequency. Let them know that they're doing a good job. Really give them a pat on the back. We all like recognition when we do a job well done. Also, stay on top of sliders, those people that come and then they go and they go more. And we're finding that their visit frequency is dropping below that magic number of 2 per week. And obviously, if you can get members to stay and attend more than twice per week, 3 times, 4 times per week, you're doing a much better job in ensuring their retention. But stay on top of those sliders. At the point of new membership, too, I really encourage you to get mind share, not pocket share. Many of us really spend that first point of contact with a new member trying to sell them more things, personal training, supplements, small group training, paid for classes. They've just joined your facility. Give them an opportunity to get used to what they're paying for with their dues, and then get their mind share, get them committed to your club. It's not about going for the grab early. It's not about trying to get them to commit to a program of personal training right out of the box. It's about them getting committed to your facility. And when you get a new member committed to your facility where they're moving from that kind of just join status into someone who's become habitual, then is the time to really look at maximizing pocket share. New members must commit to success. They have to hold up their end of the bargain. If you ask a member to attend your facility a minimum of twice per week, hold them accountable. I think members like that. I think members appreciate that. And make sure that they understand that it's not just about having a membership, it's about being a member and it's about attending the facility. That's where that success is going to come in. And as I mentioned earlier, a minimum of twice per week for the first 8 weeks. Let's think about effective communication. And these are all the things that I feel that every good facility operator needs to focus on right now. Focus on your front desk. Is your front desk staffed to accommodate the influx of new members, new member inquiries, prospects coming in off the street, as well as checking in members who are upping their fitness program during the first quarter? That's the beginning of great communication, and it can also be the beginning of great isolation if a member is not feeling that they're part of your facility right at the front desk. We want to communicate, but we don't want to over communicate. We don't want to abuse communications, whether we communicate digitally or in many cases we put up posters and flyers throughout the club. Sometimes that can become white noise. So we want to make sure that members know what's available to them, but we also want to make sure that we don't overwhelm them with our communications. We want to delight them. Here's that word again, delight. Imagine sending a birthday text message to all of your members on their birthday. Imagine saying thank you a lot. Appreciation goes a long way. Smile and dial. Every time you call a new member, are you smiling on the other end of the phone when they pick up the phone and say hello? Especially even members where you're calling to make sure that you're collecting appropriately from them. Are they feeling that smile, that warmth on the other end of the call? And then this one of my favorite terms, MBWA, and many of you know it as management by walking around. And this fellow here, Ken Blanchard, had a great quote about this whole concept of management by walking around. And is if you run a business by the numbers, it's like playing basketball but while watching the scoreboard instead of the ball. We can learn and do things better as managers when we walk around our facilities, we breathe the air, we feel the electricity, we interact with members. It's absolutely critical to our success. So walk around your facility, especially during that critical first quarter of the year. Make sure that people see you, make sure that you're visible as a manager, make sure that people know that you're the go-to when they have issues with your facility. And then I strongly recommend that we passionately pursue loyalty. Loyalty is an absolutely critical key to retaining members over the long haul. So, can we build a population of people who promote our facility, who embrace our facility, who are raving fans of our facility? Do they spread the word? Do they help you diffuse issues? Especially during a time where there's great strain being put on your facility during first quarter. Things can break, things can go wrong, schedules can be upset. Are these the types of people that are going to help you diffuse these issues? We want to make a member loyalty a success metric for your club. How do you turn loyalty into a real gauge for success? Currently, we're looking at sales, we're looking at revenue, we're looking at profit. A, a club with more loyal members, members that stick to that club over the long haul through good and bad, are going to have a positive impact on sales, on revenue, and on profit. So let's build that loyalty. And then let's bake loyalty in the culture. Are you building a team that is loyal to your ideals as an operator? Are you building a team that really reflects a great value system that you're bringing out into the marketplace? The competition is far greater than it's ever been in the fitness space. How do we deal with that competition in such a way that we can keep members longer, It's all about baking loyalty, because a loyal member is going to think twice about paying a little less to go to the competition. It's that simple. So include loyalty in every meeting. Talk about how members have expressed their loyalty. Talk about how staff can become more loyal to the cause of your club. It's not just about sales anymore. It's about embracing members for the long term. Additionally, can you deal with disloyal members before they become ex-members? When a member has a beef, how do you deal with it? Especially during the first quarter. When your existing members are going to say, okay, here come those New Year's resolution members, and the parking lot's going to be jammed, all the equipment's going to be full, the classes are going to be full, and I've been paying dues here for several months, and now these people come in and they upset my life. How do you deal with those disloyal members before they become ex-members? And additionally, I strongly suggest, especially during first quarter, diligently monitor your social media. The media itself, the general media, is going to be covering this whole idea of health, wellness, and exercise very heavily during the first quarter. They're going to ask people to make comments about their fitness facilities. They're going to ask people to assess, what kind of a fitness program are they doing, and are they feeling success? This is an opportunity where your members can shine for you when the media asks them, what are you doing and where are you doing it? Let them embrace your club and let them put your club on a pedestal if you bake loyalty into your culture. This fellow here is Tony Hsieh. He's the founder of Zappos.com. And any of you who know Zappos, you know that it is probably one of the finest corporate cultures that exists in America today. And it's all been built because Tony has very simple ideals about what culture is. And this is a quote that I encourage you to take with you and think about. For individuals, character is a destiny. For organizations, culture is a destiny. So how often do we focus on the culture of our organizations as our destiny? And that's Tony Hsieh, CEO of Zappos.com. What I'd recommend that you do is think about leveraging the Net Promoter Score, which is an industry standard for measuring customer loyalty. When you send out a regular survey that asks, is loyalty part of your culture, how likely is it that you would refer your company to a friend or a colleague, and ask them on a scale of 0 to 10, and then give them an opportunity to provide an open-ended response why they would or would not refer you. And the Net Promoter Score is used by many of the Fortune 500 companies to really gauge, monitor, and improve customer loyalty. And it's something that I would encourage you as operators to really embrace in your facilities. We break down those people that respond to Net Promoter Score in three categories. We have detractors, and these are the folks that give us a 0 to a 6 on a scale of 0 to 10. And these are people that really don't have anything good to say about your facility. And the folks that invented Net Promoter Score actually intended it to be this weighted toward the detractor side, because the goal here is not to be good enough, it's to be great. So how do we get from poor to good? And good might be these fence sitters here who are a little bit position neutral about your club, may not have a strong opinion one way or another, but they're still paying you dues every month. How do we move these detractors and these fence sitters up to become promoters of our facilities? Those that would give us a 9 or a 10, those that would enthusiastically share about your facility with friends and family. And the way the Net Promoter Score is gauged, and many of you, as I notice, have already participated in our national, or actually our North American benchmark study on Net Promoter Score, where we've actually done a Net Promoter Score survey of your membership. And when we gauge or calculate the Net Promoter Score, we take the numbers of promoters. So let's say we have 10 people who are responding to a Net Promoter Score question. and let's say 4 of them, or 40%, are promoters. Let's say another 4 of them, or 40%, are fence sitters, position neutral. And then let's say that 2 of them, or 20%, are detractors. The objective, though, is not to simply get a score. It's about taking action on building loyalty. So when we calculate Net Promoter Score, we actually take away those people that are fence sitters. They're position neutral. Their opinion does not count. And that gives a Net Promoter Score of 20. And those of you who are interested in digging a little bit deeper into this, I can provide you the Net Promoter Scores of some of the top companies in the world, and you'll discover that everyone struggles to get 100, and actually very few, virtually no companies get 100 Net Promoter Score. And you're seeing the best of the best getting Net Promoter Scores in the 70s and in the 80s. So it's a very hard metric, but it's also meant to drive your culture, to turn it into a culture of loyalty. And here's the inventor, actually, of Net Promoter Score, a fellow named Frederick Reichelt. And he really does tie loyalty into retention. And I love this statement. Retention is not simply one more operating statistic. It is a central gauge that integrates all dimensions of a business and measures how well that business is creating value for its customers. And it is the single indicator for measuring sustainable growth. So he's not talking about revenue. He's not talking about market share. He's not talking about having the best product on the market. He's talking about retaining customers. And if you retain customers, all those other things are going to fall right into place. Very, very exciting revelation. We recently did an early study, and we're actually doing some additional research on this, on what does a member's Net Promoter Score, what impact does it have on a member's retention, on staying longer within a facility? And so let's look at the promoters. Well, what we're seeing here, and these are the proportion of members that have canceled over a period of time. When a member completes a Net Promoter Score survey, we're finding that the promoters, this green line, are actually staying longer and leaving at a less rapid clip than people that are detractors. We're finding that the passives are very, very close to the promoters. So identifying these detractors and making sure that you're dealing with what it is that that they have a beef about within your facility is absolutely critical to keeping them longer within your facility. Let's talk a little bit about the qualities of a great facility, especially during the first quarter. Well, we really want every sales period to be successful, and in a successful sales period should lead into successful retention. So member loyalty is absolutely critical. High referrals. Having your facility be one where members are excited to refer other members is a great accomplishment. It's not about members saying, well, geez, I don't want to refer anyone because then the club's going to get more crowded, to having a member say, I want to refer people because I want them to see why I am so happy with this facility, why I'm experiencing such great results with this facility. Low staff turnover is absolutely critical. And I know it's tough in some of your markets, but when you get good staff, how do you hang on to them? Membership yield. It may not be about selling personal training to a brand new member, but it's about generating greater share of pocket as a member becomes more and more loyal and endeared to your facility. Are you growing consistently? And that's a question that is very difficult to answer in this day and age because of the increase in competition that many of us are experiencing. But are we focusing on consistent growth? Even if that growth is 1 or 2%, is it consistent? Are we seeing that needle move up? Have we become a community hub? People have different pillars of their lives, whether it's their family, their work, their faith. And we want their fitness. We want their health and well-being to become part of what makes them a human being, what makes them a vibrant participant in the community. So is our club more than a club? Is it a community hub? that people, members, their families look forward to gathering, look forward to seeing their friends on an ongoing basis. Think about your reputation, especially in a time where the social media can have a great impact on your reputation positively and negatively. And then, as Tony Hsieh does, think about your culture. So we at the Retention People are really focused on helping you engage with your members every day. And this is kind of the wrap up of my presentation, and I just want to share with you some of the things that we bring to bear with about 1,000 member facilities around the world. We've developed this whole suite of tools that allow you to take a lot of the tenets that I've just put forth and operationalize them in your club on a daily basis. Our Engage CEM suite, which is customer experience management, helps you accomplish really three objectives. It helps you improve that member experience, making it the best it possibly can be. It helps you promote customer loyalty and manage it over time. It helps you increase income by improving member retention. The longer a member stays, the longer they contribute to your bottom line. And it also helps you increase referrals. The happier a member is, the more loyal a member is, the more likely a member is going to refer uh, other members to your facility. So we have this suite of software products that integrate in real time with your member management system. And those of you who are interested, I can certainly have a longer chat with you after the webinar. But we have these 5 products, all very much state of the art. We have an Interact product that allows you to identify members that are at high risk of dropout when they come into your facility so that you can manage your interactions and improve those interactions. And we typically coach you through that process. We have a fully integrated automated email and text platform called Digital, which is literally the best e-communications product on the market. We have an automated induction and referral system called Commit to Success that really focuses on that first 8 weeks of membership. And then we have our Survey Plus product that deploys that Net Promoter Score that I just spoke about briefly. And then we also have a Group X product, which allows you to manage your group exercise programs so that you can really maximize the investment that you're making in Group X. So what we're trying to do now is really promote from a packaging standpoint our products, and what we've done is come up with really 2 packs that are available to you. Again, they fully integrate with your member management system, and so we have this 1 pack that we call an online retention and loyalty pack, which combines our digital product with our Net Promoter Score product, and the cost, as you see at the bottom there, it starts at 175 per month based upon the size of your facility, how many members that you have, and it's a real great value when you think about if our retention tools can help you retain, um, members a minimum of 1 month longer than their average retention rate. Think about your monthly EFT uh, and think about how much of that money would go to your bottom line if we can extend your average member retention by at least a month. So at $175 a month, it's a small price to pay to really extend that average membership length. And then we have what we call our in-club sales and retention pack, and this combines our Interact program, that high-risk interaction. Some of our customers call it search and rescue software. That high-risk interaction with the induction and referral system, and again, that starts at 175 per month per site based on the number of members that you have. So the sales pitch is over. I just want to encourage you that if you're interested in getting some additional information about our products, just reach out to me, and I'll be happy to get the process going to provide you a proposal for deploying TRP within your sites. But this opportunity is one that we're offering for a brief period. So if you are interested, I'd like to hear from you as soon as possible because I don't think we're going to be able to offer this kind of pricing come 2014. So finally, I want to leave you with some inspiration, and this is inspiration in the form of one of the greatest American composers and conductors, Leonard Bernstein, or Bernstein, depending upon how you choose to pronounce it. And he had a great statement: to achieve great things, two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. You know, when you think about that new member coming into your facility, is your plan simply to sell them, or is your plan to retain them? And if you have a plan to retain them, have a sense of urgency to make sure that that plan is fully baked and ready to be deployed. So, to achieve great things, two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. You know, that whole idea of embracing the member and keeping the member for the long term, really being a culture that not only is sales oriented, but retention oriented, that's there in every single one of our facilities. It's there similar to this graphic here, which represents Death Valley, which is actually the hottest place in America. Typically, the temperature at the floor of Death Valley is about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And about 7 years ago, something really remarkable happened in Death Valley. Hasn't even been recorded uh, prior to, and hasn't been recorded since. And in one day period, Death Valley got 7 inches of rain. Now think about that. Here is one of the driest, hottest places possibly on Earth, and they got about 7 inches of rain. And what happened after that 7 inches of rain fell? Something very remarkable happened. And that is that the floor of Death Valley, which was considered a barren and desolate place, bloomed as far as the eye could see with flowers. A beautiful, beautiful sea of color. And the lesson I want you to take away from this is that beneath the surface of every fitness facility that is typically been focusing on sales, beneath that surface is a real baked-in DNA that wants to embrace the member from a retention and loyalty standpoint. And it really is up to you to nurture that, to water that, to build a culture that says we don't want to just sell members, we want to keep them. And as we go into the new year, all those new members that we're selling in January, February, March, and beyond, how do we keep them longer so that we can have a greater impact on their lives and so that we can have a greater impact on our bottom lines? We offer sustained involvement and support as the retention people. We are the only firm in the industry that focuses exclusively on health club member retention and loyalty. And we're very, very happy to work with you. We develop management forums, we do regional seminars. We've got a number of research articles both at the retentionpeople.com, and we have a partnership with URSA where we do quarterly retention reports. And then we do these webinars. And just write this down. Our next webinar is going to be January 23rd, 2014. It will be an exciting webinar about new member onboarding. So we'll dig a little deeper into that process of, you know, when we sell a new member, how do we keep that new member over the long period of time? So I'm done with my presentation, and I hope it was helpful to you. I hope some of the content is something that you can take and apply to your facility. And if there are any questions that you may have now, you look in your little control panel there, and you'll see at the bottom it will say chat. So if there's any questions that you have, please. Please be sure to ask them. You can also ask a question as we look at that question box here. So let me look here. I'm just gonna one attendant says, "What qualifies as an interaction?" An interaction is a quality exchange with a member. So an interaction is about really getting engaged with that member, learning something about them, and perhaps providing them something that can help them improve their experience within your facility. So it's not just a hi, how are you? It's about really having that kind of a conversation where a member does learn something, and quite frankly, one of the best interactions to have is to make sure that we get a member to commit to their next visit, because as members commit to their next visit and do that again and again, obviously they are going to have a much greater impact with their health and fitness program. So that's what an interaction is. And the person that asked that question, if you want to have a further discussion about it, I'm happy to do that offline. Um, how do you define over communicate? That's an awfully good question. I think we find ourselves over communicating more likely than not with e-communications, with email. It's very easy to over communicate because email is free. And typically, what we look at is not only how frequent we email, but how relevant the email is. And we've done quite a bit of research in what's effective email and SMS communications, quite frankly, and what is ineffective. And so the over communication really comes at the point of if I'm receiving more than 2 emails per month from my club, that really does become a point of over communication. You might want to do something on a weekly basis. That might be okay, but quite frankly, every couple of weeks really does feel like the right steady stream. And also think about what's in that communication as well. If all of your e-communication is focusing on selling a member as opposed to reinforcing that member's experience with tips and helpful hints and opportunities to improve their health and well-being, if all we're doing is selling, then the member is going to tune that out. So that's kind of how I would define a an over communication. Uh, and then let's see here. And someone did ask, can you email me the report on the best NPS companies? I will absolutely do that. And if any of you would like that report, that tally of the best NPS companies in the world, I'll be happy to provide them to you. So thanks for asking that question, and I'll definitely get that out to you. If anyone has any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off. It's now 3 o'clock, so I've taken an hour of your precious time. I hope it was helpful to you, and I look forward to talking to you again in the new year. So have a wonderful holiday season. Have a great start of the year, and let's sell and let's retain, and let's really embrace our members. Take care now. Thanks again. Bye bye.